If you have to eat 2 frogs today, one big and ugly, and the other small and cute, eat the big and ugly one first. That way, you will have a much better sense of reward, and things can only get better from that point. The topic of procrastination is one that has been there since the beginning of time. In 400 BC in ancient Greece, the Greek word akrasia described this exact phenomenon we now call procrastination. Knowing what you should do, but not doing it. Even great philosophers like Socrates and Aristotle spoke on this topic. But while this topic has been there for ages, procrastination feels worse today due to the unrealistic productivity standards of modern society and access to unlimited distractions and constant comparisons. When I first encountered the book Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, I was a teenager. My dad got the book for me. Prior to that, I didn't know I was somewhat of a procrastinator, so I didn't want to dive too deep in. The only thing that struck me was just the quirky metaphor of eating a frog. But while I skimmed through, there were lots of gems cut down into simple ideas that I found really interesting. And it later helped in shaping how I viewed the topic of procrastination. Today, I will show you what works from my own personal research and tests, and I will also use this same book as a reference guide to throw in more knowledge to my ideas and help you climb out of that procrastination hole. So first, the concept of the frog which you saw before clicking into this video is actually not a gimmick. It is a mirror showing us how we actually behave. We delay the work that matters most, and we spend our time on everything else apart from what will move our life forward. And just as I said in the beginning of this video, if you have to eat 2 frogs today, one big and ugly, and one small and cute, eat the big and ugly one first. That way, it can only get better from there. When you are faced with tasks you know you need to handle, work on the most difficult and important one first. That way, you know you can go ahead with your day fully aware that you've tackled the most difficult work you will come across all day long. The truth is, procrastination is not even often about time, but more about clarity and choice. If you don't clearly know what your most important tasks are, you will easily derail. That means you have to write them down, or your mind will drift towards comfort, and you will see yourself handling trivial chores and other distractions. This is a natural reaction because everything else feels easier than the big task that actually scares you. So instead of maybe handling that freelance project or something important you have at hand, you could find yourself checking and replying to old emails, or even rearranging the books in your shelf, all while trying to escape the compulsory task with an actual ticking deadline. The only antidote for this situation is to write down your goals and plan your days ahead. You hear things about writing down your goals every time, but this is actually not a vague thing. It is so important that you need to take a few minutes to think and plan your day, the night before or first thing early in the morning. That simple action of clarity will increase your focus and reduce random hesitations. Applying the Pareto principle in everything you do will also greatly make a difference. In case you do not know about this, it is also called the 80-20 rule, a concept founded by Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who first introduced it in the late 1800s. He observed in his society that there is a natural separation and 2 divisions, which he tags as the vital few and the trivial many, entailing that 20% of the society controls all the money and influence, and the remaining 80% are a reflection of what the small percentile decides. This concept flows into every other aspect of life. 20% of your tasks create 80% of your results. The same thing applies to sales. About 20% of your products and services will account for 80% of your profits. This means you have to find that 20% in order for you to make changes to the results. Identify the most crucial tasks first, and everything else becomes easier because you've already tackled the work that creates the real payoff. Procrastination is a habit that is extremely difficult to control. So, when the procrastination nerves kick in, procrastinate the small tasks. The difference between a high performer and a low performer is the tasks they choose to procrastinate on. This is what Brian Tracy calls creative procrastination, a situation where you engage in procrastination on purpose rather than falling into the trap of unconscious procrastination. At the end of the day, following a creative procrastination routine doesn't magically make the big frog easier to eat. It just becomes normal to you. People also try to evade the topic, but while social media and technological gadgets are all useful in many ways, they also lead to chronic procrastination. Without proper discipline, some people fall into these digital time sinks and end up addicted. At this point, they treat social media as the most important task and only snap back to reality after a missed deadline or poor task delivery. Try as much as you can to minimize screen time and develop a habit of self-management. Develop that sense of urgency. Trust me, you can't rush the big tasks just as your mind tricks you to believe, so you have to start them on time. The more you scatter attention, the more momentum you lose. So at the end of the day, the knowledge of the day is that you have to eat your frogs early, frequently, and with full commitment. Over time, you will ascend from a low performer to a high performer. And it's not even really something magical. It just happens all while you're still being a procrastinator. But the only difference is you become a creative procrastinator. See you in the next one.